Welcome to our program, Coach-to-Coach. Today's guest is Darlene Tindall. Darlene and I first met on Jamie Smart's Thriving Coaches Blueprint course, and then we also completed Clarity Coach certification together. Darlene has more than 20 years experience in the fields of energy medicine, yoga, personal development, and coaching, and has an impressive list of credentials which you can learn all about on our website. Thank you for joining us today, Darlene. It's so nice to see you.
I am so happy to be here with you, Greg.
Great. Yeah, I'm glad we could finally do this. Today's episode is going to be a little different than normal because we're going to be focused on an amazing program that Darlene has founded called This is a Place for Miracles. So that will lead into my first question, Darlene, which is what first sparked your interest in miracles?
I was listening to you say that, Greg, and I actually had not an insight, but a little play on words, which is that it found me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really the secret right there, is that several years ago, I don't know how it came to me, but this phrase came to me: this is a place for miracles. And I just kept rolling that around. This is a place for miracles. And I liked it so much that I created a document that had a bunch of like sticky note sized pieces of paper that said, this is a place for miracles. And I stuck them all over my house. So they were on my mirror. They were in my yoga studio. They were bookmarks in books. They were just littered everywhere. And I would walk around and I'd be opening the door and it would say, this is a place for miracles. And once in a while, I would just be stopped in my tracks. And I'd be like, wow, this is a place for miracles. And it just started sinking deeper and deeper and deeper. This is a place for miracles. And then as I sat with that, it came to me as like, my life is a place for miracles. Like, holy, my life is a place for miracles. This is a place for miracles. My life is a place for miracles. And I just knew that I needed to start sharing it. And first thing I did was actually send out, I don't know, something like 50 or 100 postcards to people on my mailing list.
Mm.
And because I wanted people to have it. And then I invited them to a program. So I did a group coaching program. And it was just a fascinating exploration. You know, when you do coaching, how much you learn from the experience.
Mm.
And that was what happened for me. So it deepened it. And then I have a sandwich board, like a chalkboard.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, this is a place for miracles on that. And I would stick it outside my front door and I would bring it everywhere I went. So whenever I had some professional kind of a thing out in public, that would come with me.
Yeah. And
it just started to kind of grow and develop. And it still is. And my life has ebbed and flowed, and I've had some really big changes and some kind of tricky things to navigate, new stuff that was tricky for me. But I always had the sandwich board. I always had the sticky notes up, and I just stuck with that, knowing that my life is a place for miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that even though I was going through difficult times, that miracles were happening as a result and in the background, and that the discomfort was temporary and that I was going to get through it. And I don't know, I've run the program again, and because it continues to call to me and it continues to deepen. And as a result of all these life changes, I found myself with an opportunity to go to Europe for the winter. And looking at options for, digital nomad visas and, regulations and things, and what can I do while I'm there? And it is limiting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I was just going like, what can I do that would be fun and could connect with people and would be meaningful? And I think it happened, like one of those in the middle of the night, either when you're falling asleep or you've woken up
Mm.
and you have this idea, and this project came to me, and I loved the idea, and then it terrified me
Mm.
at the same time. But I
That's how you
happen to
know it's
know
good.
that's how you know it's good, because fear and excitement are so close to each other in the brain, aren't they?
Mm.
It's like two sides of the same coin. And I also know um, that when I get an inspiration like that, um, that I have to say yes.
Mm.
And I'm really deeply committed to life and to the journey unfolding through me and around me and because of me. And so I knew I had to say yes. So I've got 180 Days of Miracles as my
Mm.
tour, and
What day
and
are you
that
on now?
we are on. Ooh, what's the date today?
29.
29. This is day 30.
Wow.
Day 30, and every day I surrender more to the practice and I commit deeper to um, what I call just being in the service of miracles,
Mm.
which is a really, it's not something that I know how to define other than by saying that I'm really tuned into my insights
Mm.
and intuitions, that I'm really cleaning up my thinking around outcome oriented practices and looking more toward how to deepen my connections with others, how to
Mm.
be a blessing to others, how to really listen and um, and be present, and how to lead from my heart,
Mm.
and to just be available to this adventure of life, and to always, always have at the forefront, leading and guiding me, that this life is a place for miracles. And that is why I'm here right now.
Mm.
So,
Mm. A couple of things
yeah.
struck me while you're talking. One was just kind of the notion of the law of attraction, right? Like all your sticky notes everywhere, and um, just how that welcomes in that energy, and I don't know, just the openness to welcoming miracles, and um, kind of letting them happen, but also in a way making them happen, right? Um, One of my favorite songs, I think I might have shared this with you before. There's a Christmas cartoon that's my favorite. It's called "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," and they sing a song in it that's the line is "Even a miracle needs a hand,"
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and I love that, just the idea of how the part that each, like, because I think a lot of people think of miracles as 100% divine intervention, or you
Mm-hmm.
know whatever they believe in, if it's God or universal energy or whatever, but it's not of them. But I think the notion that um, each of us can play a part in bringing a miracle to life for ourselves and for other people is a very powerful notion. And then the other thing that struck me was that the miracles are not necessarily clean; they can be messy. And in the the eye of the storm, so to speak, it may not even look like this is going to be a miracle, and when you come out the other side, that's when you realize, oh, that's what that was. So
Yeah.
it's very, very cool just to be open to whatever's happening, and yeah, I love it.
You are right on. Like, I love that you picked that up from the night before Christmas. Because I think that's the whole thing. It's all of anything that's being created in this world needed a set of hands.
Mm.
It needed somebody with an idea to give it a try. And And I really believe that miracles need us,
Mm.
and that it's not the sort of thing where we sit back and wait for them to happen. We are co-creating with them. It's a partnership. It's a collaboration. And the other day, I looked up the word idea.
Mm. Oh yeah,
Did
I
you see
saw
I
your
posted
post.
about
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. Idea, a concept in the mind of God.
Mm.
And I'm still amazed by that. Like, I'm still so excited, because how many times a day do you say, I have an idea?
Mm.
Or do you have any ideas? You
Yeah,
know? And I think we take it for granted where that's coming from.
yeah,
And the whole um, notion, when somebody asks you, where did you get that idea?
mm.
It's like, the answer is in the question,
Yeah,
because the idea in itself is a concept in the mind of God.
yeah, yeah,
We are part of creation in action.
yeah. It's a great question because I think um, people don't often consider where those new fresh ideas come from. They're coming from somewhere, and it's like we're a receiver or a conduit or whatever. But I know for myself, the last year and a half, what I've been doing, I've almost felt like, when I have those moments or those ideas pop into my head, part of me feels obligated to do something about it. Like I need to honor the fact that I was given this gift of this idea.
Yeah.
Sometimes it means I just write it down on a piece of paper, put it in a PowerPoint slide or something, and that's it. I may not ever go back to it, but I've
Yeah.
honored it enough to bring it into form, I guess, in some way. And then other things I really run with it, and I might spend weeks with that idea and turning it into something.
Yeah.
And I've found, since I got in the practice of doing that, it's like I just get more. It's like you know the return for honoring ideas is you're gifted with more ideas, and eventually knock on wood, I find the idea that gets me where I want to be. But yeah, that's so cool. So tell me a bit more about, you're on day 30 of 180 days of miracles. Um, what's that look like for you day in and day out? I know you're visiting different places in Europe. I'm just really curious to know how
Yeah.
this all kind of transpires.
So the original vision that I had, I haven't done yet. That's my big confession. Um, I'm not quite sure how to do it, how to pull it off, and it could be considered illegal.
Mm.
So the original vision was to have a stencil and graffiti, "This is a place for miracles," anywhere and everywhere. And that's why
that's the illegal part.
Yeah, yeah. So I haven't quite delved into the world of graffiti artist yet. But hey, that'd be cool to add to my CV.
Yeah, to give you some street cred.
Some street cred. Yeah. And my son informed me that when you use a stencil to graffiti, it's called tagging.
Oh, okay.
So I've even got the lingo now.
Mm.
Anyways, tagging buildings or structures or whatever businesses. What I have started to do is we're going to all these different towns for a couple of weeks at a time. And my travel buddy and she and I love meeting locals.
Mm.
We love talking to people. We love to find out more about them and their life and how they're doing what they're doing. And so I've been going into businesses, and the people that I connect with, and that, you have your spidey sense of people that, your people.
Yeah.
And telling them about our project and and asking them if they would like to participate.
Mm.
And then I make them a piece of artwork. So so I have a stencil. I have a couple of different stencils, different sizes, and paint. And I went to the local shop and picked up whatever supplies, art supplies I could find.
Yeah.
And so I've been making them paintings that they are putting in their shops that say this is a place for miracles. And then I've been interviewing them and finding out, um, just how they got there, what a miracle would be for them, how I can support them more.
Mm.
And it's just been so, like, such a rewarding way to connect.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples of miracles that have happened either to yourself or to these folks that you're interacting with? Like, does anything jump out at you as, and maybe the incubation process is longer than instant, but I'm just wondering if you have any.
Yeah, it's probably an ongoing evolution, but the first woman that we met was the first day that I got to our town. So it was like day 2 of being here.
Mm.
And met a woman at the farmer's market, and I knew instantly that she was it.
Mm.
And so got talking with her, and turns out she's a super busy mom. She's really into plant medicines and conservation and things like that. And she and her husband run a business. They've got a hotel and a restaurant, and it's just like craziness, but
Yeah.
Such a neat couple. And so we saw her 3 times because it was market is once a week.
Yeah.
And so anyways, the first time I showed her what we were doing, told her all about it. And I think she was almost in tears.
Mm.
It was a miracle. Like, meeting us was a miracle.
Mm.
And having somebody reach out who genuinely wants to know her and to know how I can support her. And I'm not asking anything in return.
Mm.
It's a gift. And so every time I went back, she said, not a single day has gone by that she hasn't thought about our connection and the questions that I sent home with her. And I made her the painting, and it's just touched her so deeply. And I don't know specifically what has changed for her, but I know that energetically something has changed. And I know that those windows and doors of possibility are opening. And just knowing that somebody's in her corner and I'm on the other end of the line when she's ready.
Yeah.
And I am staying in touch, and like I mean it when I say I'm there for her.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
Like, it almost brings me to tears just
talking
about that.
This is like the proverbial pebble in the pond kind of thing, right? Like, I can just imagine the ripple effect of, her bringing that energy to her children, into her business, the guests in her hotel, the people eating her food. I mean, it's just, and I don't know, like the picture you paint about the crazy busy life that she's leading, you could I can imagine her kind of just being so caught up in the work and getting done what needs to get done. And then this very sharp contrast of, like, now she's bringing the energy of the notion of miracles and this, positive energy to everything she's doing now. And so it no longer seems like, I'm making all this up, obviously, but a heavy burden to bear. It's like, she's touching the lives of so many people, and that 1 ounce of positive energy kind of into the world could have a tremendous effect on people.
Yeah, I think so too. I just sense how deeply it touched her.
Mm.
And the other thing that I've noticed is, we've been on these trainings together and on these calls, and the more that I talk about what I'm doing,
Mm.
the more I'm getting messages,
Mm.
and they're like, oh, I have to tell you this.
Mm.
And, so people are telling me about their little miracles that are happening, or they're telling me how their mindset is changing. I have two separate friends that are musicians that are both writing songs about miracles.
Mm.
And it's just, it's really fun being me, knowing that I'm growing this tree of miracles and the seeds are falling.
Mm.
And people are being inspired and they're opening up to new possibilities and new ways of being in life. And I don't have a sense of where it's going. And I don't have a sense of like a final destination. I mean, I don't want it to just be 180 days,
Yeah.
obviously.
That's
Um,
that's phase one.
yeah, but it's like, it's not for me to know.
Yeah,
It's a need to know thing.
for
Right
sure.
now, all I need to know is the next person to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah. What's funny, what popped in my head, I think Jamie posted something the other day that was, you don't know, you know how many seeds are in an apple, but you don't know how many apples are in the seed. And it's kind of like, you know, I just think of, you just mentioned your two musician friends that are writing songs. Like, I mean, how many apples do those seeds yield once they write a song? I don't know if it's a big hit or that what kind of song it is, but music's made to be shared. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it can have a huge downstream effect on a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think just the idea too, like I don't know, for me, um, I don't know how to explain it necessarily, but it's kind of like I see people like when they're at their lowest point, they're like, oh, I need a miracle to get out of it. But it's coming from more of a like a desperation or a
Mm.
needing to get out of a bad place versus coming at a miracle from joy and love and just the excitement of life. Like you don't have
And
to
faith,
be
faith
down
and
and out.
trust.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah, it is knowing that life has your back and that you're connected and part of a greater system of things.
Mm.
Um, Knowing that the answers come, the insight comes, wisdom comes.
Mm. Yeah, it's occurring to me like miracles are all around us. We just need to open our eyes and be aware of them. Like you said, like the fact that you met that lady in the market in and of itself is a miracle.
It is. It totally is. And I love asking people, like, what have you been asking for?
Mm.
Now that we've met and you're like in the miracle uh, mindset or like in the energy of miracles now,
Yeah,
like what led to this?
yeah.
Because there's always something, we become open and willing to receiving, and
Mm.
then things start to come. But I'm always so curious to know what happened just a few steps before.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. Just popped in my head. It's the idea of you got to know what business you're in, and you're in the miracles business. Very cool. So, in the interest of time, because we could go on forever, but if there was one thing you want people to know, what would that be?
Yeah. I thought maybe I would share one of the things that I use as a practice.
Mm. Sure.
And um, like many things that are profoundly useful, and effective. It's simple.
Mm. It's
It's
funny how that works
deceptively
out.
simple. I know. Um, but I like to just repeat, and I'll repeat it daily throughout my day, and I'll say, um, my life is a place for miracles. My mind is a place for miracles. My heart is a place for miracles. My body is a place for miracles. My relationships are a place for miracles. My work is a place for miracles. My family, my finances, my fun, whatever it
Mm.
is a place for miracles. And I just really let that sink in. And I know that it's true. It is a truth. And then the second thing that I do is I give thanks for all of the things that I don't yet have. So, for instance, a couple of years ago when I first started, I was saying, thank you to the amazing friends I have all over the world.
Mm.
And where am I now, Greg?
Yeah.
I'm in England and Europe, and I have so many friends here that I didn't have at that time.
Mm.
And I said, thank you for fruitful collaborations.
Mm.
And I have fruitful collaborations. Thank you for so much fun and laughter. Thank you for kindness and generosity. Thank you for the opportunity to go places and do things that I'd never dreamed of before.
Mm.
And I just go on and on with whatever it is that I feel in the moment is lacking in my life. And instead of getting upset about it or sad about it, or feeling like I'm missing out, I just turn it around
Mm.
and I give thanks and I write it down. I hold my hand on my heart and I say it out loud and I feel it.
Mm.
And I mean, talk about manifesting. It's been amazing. Such a gift.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to give that a try.
You have to report back.
I will. I definitely will. If people want to learn more about you or learn more about This Is a Place for Miracles, where can they go to find out more information?
Yeah. They can go to thisisaplaceformiracles.com
Mm.
and they can email me at myembodiedbeing@gmail.com.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Darlene, for sharing today. Um,
Thank you for having me,
go into
Greg.
the rest of my day today manifesting miracles. So
Awesome.
I really appreciate this, and good luck with the next 150 days of miracles.
Thank you.